Summer's here, you want the best smelling rich man fragrances. Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? My name is Neep. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Rich man summertime fragrances is all this video is about, except honest to God, you can get rich man vibes for less, for much less, okay? But it's okay. You're here for the ones that are just like, yo, bro, like status is on top. You can even do that with those. And who can better tell you that? These have objective quality that are extremely expensive smelling that can't be done for less than a certain price tag than me, right? Yeah, I've made fragrances that for like 60 bucks that smell like niche. So here we go. Fragrances that don't seem to be able to be replicated at this quality. The best ones for the summertime. Luxury, if you will. So let's go ahead and transport ourselves into the Amalfi coast, shall we? With Aqua di Parma, Blue Mediterranean, Fico di Amalfi. The notes of this one includes a blast of citruses. There's also this juicy and watery style of honeyed fig with some jasmine, pink pepper. And as it starts to dry down, you get this woody and ambery style of vibe. That fig leaf is so crisp. And the honeyed fig, oh my God, man. Intoxicating, addicting, naturalistic. This stuff is great. The one quality and trait about this one that I personally love is its juicy nature. So during an era before Louis Vuitton fragrances during freshies, for the most part, they were all like fresh citruses, etc. But this was one of the only ones, at least in my collection personally, I'm not saying that only one out there that was juicy, but that did that juicy fig vibe before it was a thing. Since then, Louis Vuitton, that's what they're known for. They use that cask cologne that gives it this watery accord. This has always had. Now, the one thing about a lot of these longer lasting, or sorry, summertime fragrances is that they're not that longer lasting or that long lasting. And that's kind of the case with this one. However, when it starts to dry down, what'll linger on the longest is going to be that fig leaf. So you end up getting something that's green in its nature, yeah. And as it dries down, you get more of like this dry woods and that fig style of leafy green. Next one on this list is called My Clementine by Aphorisms or Aphorismes. This fragrance officially replaces Afternoon Swim for me. And not because it smells like it, but because it does everything Afternoon Swim does for me personally, but even better. First off, this bottle is literally a workout for me to keep up right now. It weighs a ton, and the cap itself extremely unique and also weighs a ton. You are gonna pay premium for this, but you're getting premium stuff. Now, arguably when you purchase one of the Louis Vuitton, oh yeah, it's in my other studio. When you buy the Louis Vuittons, you're also paying a premium, but you're not really getting that much performance, at least for the freshies. And that's almost inevitable with a lot of fresh fragrances, right? Because of the way that they're composed. My Clementine opens up with a lot of, obviously, clementine, but it also has this sweet mandarin undertone to it as well. In the opening, there's also something green and a little bit woody coming from petitgrain. There's a melody of citruses with this one. It's not just mandarin. There's a note of bigarade in this one, which is a combination or a hybrid rather of some kind of lemon along with that mandarin. But then on top of that, there's a note of lemon, spearmint, and neroli. So what you get with this one is something that opens up effervescent, fresh, and very zingy, or I should say crisp in that nature. That's also softened out and floral and even cooling. That note of spearmint has more of like the sweetness to it. It really enhances the sweetness or the naturalistic sweetness to some of these other citruses. And as it dries down, it just turns into an even more delicate citrus-forward fragrance that screams opulence and money. The ambergris in this one also helps with its projection, and it has this overall musky vibe to it too, and slightly woody as it dries down. And it's coming from musk, oak moss, and patchouli as it dries down. This has so many characteristics to it for being just a fresh scent profile. This is not a fresh for the average person. This is straight up class and money. It's much better in every aspect to me personally than Afternoon Swim. But in all honesty, it'll serve different purposes. Now, if you got it like that and you don't really care, this one, it doesn't smell anything like Afternoon Swim. And I'm gonna emphasize again, I'm just talking about in terms of what it offers. This one offers a lot more. There's that delicacy, there's a floral aspect to it, something that's inviting, and also something that you can smell past 2 hours. Or 1.5 hours, and the projection. The ambergris, I mean, Dominique knows what he's doing, and with this fragrance, and so does Jacques Cavalier, the perfumer of Afternoon Swim and Louis Vuitton, but there is a certain reality to its performance, etc., because of the way that it's built. I just think that this is built overall much, much better. It doesn't smell exactly like Afternoon Swim, obviously, for the third freaking time, but it has that same vibe. I get a lot of those melody and naturalistic citruses and fruits, and this really does make it something that can last, that is standing on a denser base without it being a dense fragrance. So if you're looking for the best, something to really stand you out, and be like, what are you even wearing? And nobody's ever smelled before. It's called My Clementine. Familiar aspects to it, mass appealing. I would personally say even blind buy safe if we're not factoring in price tag. Nevertheless, you really want something that'll level up your collection in terms of presentation and scent. It's called My Clementine. This is a realm where it's like, dude, you cannot touch this quality no matter how hard you try. Moving on, straight up ocean vibes, salty, on the beach, extremely strong, and a little bit metallic. It's called Spirited Dubai Bahar. And this, I mean, it's unmatched. The level of quality, the terms of performance, etc. It does remind me of Megamere style DNA, but this has a more ambery feel to it that I personally like. I think it might be the Oriental Edge or something like that. That's a bit more woody and peppery. That is nuclear stuff. So for me personally, I'd go with Bahar over Megamere any freaking day. Bahar means ocean, and it's very fitting in terms of the way that it looks in the presentation and all of that good stuff. This has been around for a long time. Personally, I'm not that crazy about just straight up salty oceanic, but I know there's an audience and a mass appeal for this one, and I will admit it's absolutely there. It is one that will get you compliments too because of the fact that it's so strong. Now, staying in that realm, but doing something a bit more aromatic, including some chamomile, or I believe it was, I forget, it's chamomile tea. This one goes a little bit more soggy into like almost this seaweed vibe, but it's so freaking unique. And 3 sprays of this lasted even past a shower. It's called Unique Luxury Ocean the Rive, or Ocean the Reeve. And it kind of smells like, it honestly smells like that. If you like an oceanic fragrance that's straight up fucking beastly, this is another one right there with it. The quality of this one, you can't match it. But you guys, I have to emphasize it. It smells like leafy greens with salty accord. It's very salty, very naturalistic and wet. But on skin and projection, I didn't even know I was gonna like it as much as I did end up liking it. On skin, it kind of does something where it balances out, and it just smells fantastic. Performance, projection, longevity, next level shit, and that's why it's on this list. This one will probably make it to every single summertime list and every single like daily list. It's called Terre Eau Vetiver Intense, or Eau Intense Vetiver, sorry. This is the cream of the crop when it comes to citrus and vetiver fragrances. Simple as that. There's like this mandarin accord, that's orange style of citrus, obviously. And then it does have like this grapefruit style of undertone that comes naturally with the vetiver. There's that dry, brittle style of woods. Beautiful. This one smells like class. It smells like a gentleman who's either in a clean ass white tee, or even if you're in like this button-up suit. This also transports me to every vacation I've ever been on. It smells like the hotels. It smells like a newly constructed hotel that has like a citrus aura or smell going to it, and they might have just rebuilt or built new, flooring, etc., with that fresh wood smell. That's just wow. I love it. Before I had all those experiences and those scent memories, it wasn't necessarily my most favorite. After those associations, it became a love. And one of my favorite summertime fragrances right here, Terre Eau Vetiver Intense. And that's important to note, that over time, your tastes will change depending on your experiences. A fragrance that you might have thought was atrocious could be somebody else's dad's signature scent. And for that reason, simply, it could be one of their favorite fragrances, not because they'll wear it, but because that's the association that they have. And that's the power and beauty of perfume. Next one on this list is Versace Dylan Blue. Say whatever you guys want to say. This is one that cannot be replicated. It cannot be duped. It's just extremely high quality smelling, but it is intense and too intense for some people, so you have been warned. This one does that Sauvage style of DNA, but it does it with some incense, some peppers, a lot more ambroxan to my nose personally. Semi-synthetic, but I love it. I've gotten so many compliments. You will be heard, you will be smelled, and it lasts pretty much all day. You may go nose blind if you spray this one on too close to like right under your nose. I would personally recommend shoulders and arms, so that way you can smell the entire day. Maybe under your shirt. Aside from that, it's very intense. This is going to be the most affordable one on here, but even then, it still smells like something high-end. In the air, this stuff does not smell like a designer, cheapie, a designer cheapie. Does it smell designer? Yeah, sure. But still, it's got, to my nose personally, a pretty high-end, sophisticated vibe. Next one, Imagination. This is one where it actually does stand up to a certain level of quality for its price. Is it still a little bit higher? Sure, but I can personally get these naturals in terms of like the way that the tea smells, that signature Cask Cologne watery juicy accord. This is the best one for me personally. When it comes to overall longevity, performance, and everything considered, we're talking about total package, it's Imagination. It's something that smells like clean, fresh soap. It does have a soapy vibe with this black aromatic tea that cuts through it, helps with the projection, and also gets a lot of compliments with this one. You smell clean, fresh, and aromatic. It does also remind me of like hotel soap. When I was in Cancun, I went to use the restroom and they had some premium luxury soap. It smelled like this. quite literally like this, imagination. And it works. And I know that they have City of Stars, they have, you know, all these great on the beach, afternoon swim, and some of them I like maybe slightly more. But when it comes to total package, longevity, etc., this one really does give you the best bang for buck. I'm not going to argue and say that, you know, afternoon swim isn't beautiful or City of Stars are on the beach. I love those fragrances, but total package, making it on this list, imagination. Chanel kills it with their signature musk. There's nothing that can recreate the way that they make this musk, except for some brands that have tried to mimic or replicate certain fragrances from Chanel, and it's that signature DNA. They have this, you know, proprietary, or you can call it a captive, if you will, and it basically means their combination or their secret sauce that recreates a more original style of musk. Chanel is one of the first people to really mainstream perfume in terms of marketing, etc. And so they mastered it. They really, really did master it and a certain level of quality. They used to use a lot of musks back when it wasn't regulated or back when it was still allowed. And that signature, they kept it throughout the entirety or longevity of their fragrance brand. Even to this day, you can still get their natural recreation using synthetics of natural musk. And they found a way to really keep that scent alive while keeping those animals alive too. And that was the whole beef with, you know, deer musk and animal musk in fragrance, is it wasn't humane. And so with that being said, they managed to recreate a naturalistic smelling musk through synthetics, obviously. And that's what you'll get with a lot of the Allure fragrances. That's the signature DNA. Musky, fresh, sometimes aromatic, maybe going a little bit sweet, depending on the flanker that you're getting. The Eau Extrême has that mint, the tonka bean, along with everything else you'll find in the other Allures. I personally love the original. It has that peach, some citruses, the musks. It's a perfect balance of all worlds. The sport is pretty good, but I don't like the tonka bean direction that it goes in. It gives me like this different vibe. This one, overall, I feel like is something beautifully blended in between all. Between the Eau Extrême having some sweetness, not as much mint, and something in between Allure, the original, having those original fresher aspects, adding and enhancing the lemon. And so with that being said, it takes this creamy nature from the Eau Extrême. It takes the fresh aspects from the Allure, adds that citrus lemon, and it gives you this lemon meringue pie fresh vibe. And that's what you end up with here. It's like this barbershoppy or like this frothy and creamy style of lemon. And so I say barbershoppy because it gives you that aura, that vibe. It's like a frothy natured lemon cream. Not necessarily in a gourmand sense, and that's why I said barbershoppy, to kind of give you more of like this shaving cream sense. That's a lot more masculine than something like gourmand. If I were to say lemon cream just pie without saying shaving cream, then it would sound a lot more unisex, if you will. So that's a great fragrance that also lasts pretty much the entire day. This once upon a time got discontinued and brought back after probably about 5 years or so, and I'm glad that it's back. It's a really good smelling scent. Although not a luxury fragrance, this smells really high end. It's called Aqua di Parma by Emporio Armani. Tried and true, it works, it smells great. It's not just your typical fresh fragrance. It does have a different dimension and aspect coming from this oriental undertone. The oriental undertone is resins. So it's a fresh aquatic scent profile that also uses this oriental and resinous dry down. It's not common in the realm of just fresh fragrances, and it gives it another backbone and dimension, taking it and elevating it from just your typical freshie. So having something that's not necessarily the most unique thing in the world, but also familiar with an unusual style of dry down, definitely ends up with this fragrance that smells a lot more high-end, more complex. And with the more complexity comes this high-end feel. I will say though that the quality of the scent profile, the quality of those ingredients, absolutely sense it's a beautiful fragrance. Sometimes you don't have to spend the most amount of money to just smell like class. The one thing about this one is that it is a little bit more of a common DNA. The Aqua di right? The aquatic, woody, fresh style of DNA, with this one only having a bit more of a uniqueness from those resins. But the projection longevity on this, it will be heard, you will be smelled, it smells fantastic. So if I were to pick one for the summertime, it would be the Parfum. They do have the Elixir. Parfum is definitely the better one for the summertime. They have other good flankers, but it wouldn't be worthy of making it to this list at least, not in terms of the best ones. Last but not least, this smells like class, and it smells a lot more expensive than its price tag. It's called Mancera's Vetiver Sensuel. And this is a blast of citruses along with this mint, patchouli, and vetiver. Beautiful scent profile that also has this musky, and I would personally say a delicate approach to vetiver. One of the most beautiful and softest approach to that note while still being intense and prominent and performing really well. So the actual note breakdown of this one includes lemon, lime, orange, pepper, But in the mid, the main responsible note for making this one a lot more delicate is orchid. And orchid has to be one of the most indolic, fatty, and buttery style of florals that's very prominent, and you can easily pinpoint orchid once you've smelt it on its own. As it dries down, it is mashed up or blended with some musks, some ambers, and that signature style of vetiver. So it's a note of vetiver and musk combination, which is beautiful on its own. That's also softened up even more so with some orchid, crispened up with some mints that gives it this cooling vibe, a lot of citruses at the top, and some peppers to really cut through some of those fatty and buttery aspects. And that's pretty much it. A lot of citruses, fresh, spicy, green, and extremely indolic and fatty, and very sophisticated smelling. The price tag of this being at around $80 on discounters or even sometimes less, it's mind-blowing. If they were to package this into a more expensive bottle, it would sell for much more. And that says a lot because it's not that cheap, it's around 60 bucks, but you do have to enjoy the floral aspects that I mentioned before as well. Soft, floral, and signature note of vetiver. It's called Vetiver Sensuel by Mancera. Total longevity for this one, I wouldn't place it at more than about 7.5 to 8 hours tops. And the projection for this one is a nice scent trail without it actually being anything overbearing or anything like that. And there you have it, guys. The best summer fragrances to rock in 2025. This is an oldie, but a goodie, and it hasn't been talked about in quite some time. Let me know down in the comment section which your go-to summertime fragrance is, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button before you go anywhere. And check out AROMATIX fragrances on jomashop.com. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.